It's our next guest. How's it going?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for
You want
waiting.
me to state my age and religion?
Yeah, please.
I am 19 and I am Christian.
Okay, very good. And what is your best evidence that God is moral?
I just wanted to clarify two things first.
Okay.
What, as evidence, can I use things that are in the Bible, or do I have to use other stuff?
Well, you can bring whatever you'd like. But I'll ask you about the evidence. I won't just accept
Okay.
it as true. So I will ask about it. But yeah, you can say whatever you'd like.
Okay. And what would you consider moral, or do you want me to define it?
Well, I consider moral as the dictionary definition, which is that which is. Oh no, that was good. So let's get the dictionary definition of moral. Concerned with the principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character. So, or holding or manifesting high principles for proper conduct. That's probably a better one. Holding or manifesting high principles for proper conduct. So, what's your definition of moral? What is moral to you?
No, I think this definition makes a lot of sense, and we can go with it.
The second one, the one I said, high principle.
Yeah. No, the first one, which is
Principles of right and wrong.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, and the goodness or badness. That says human character, but I think we can apply this to God as well.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, and so you're going to go with that. And
yeah.
Now, would you say that God is moral by a standard, or that God defines morality?
I would say more defines it, and also that because of the definition of who God is, he has to be moral.
Okay. He has to be. All right.
Yeah.
Because of the definition of who God is. Okay.
Yeah.
And so does that mean then that God could do something, can God do something that would be immoral if a human did it?
It's not only if a human did it, it's that because of who God is, what he does cannot be immoral.
So it's not possible for God to do anything immoral, no matter what.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. So let me ask it this way.
Yeah.
Would it be moral if you saw in a knee-deep pond a child drowning, a toddler drowning? Mm-hmm. Would it be moral for you to save that child?
I would even say that I kind of have to be honest.
Yeah. Is it moral for God to save the child?
Yes, it is.
It is? Okay. Yeah. And does God have the power to save all children from drowning in knee-deep ponds?
Yes, he does.
But you would agree that he doesn't do it. He doesn't save every child drowning in a knee-deep pond, right?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. So then, but you did say earlier that he can't commit an immoral act. So
yes,
would it be immoral for you if you saw the child drowning in a knee-deep pond and you kept walking? Would that be moral or immoral?
If I'm being honest, I think it would be immoral. It would be an omission of doing what is right.
Okay. And so why doesn't the same thing apply to God?
Because God also respects our free will. So not only the child in the pond, but let's say I were to be a drug addict, and the next time I was about to do drugs, I would OD and die. God could stop me from doing drugs, and it would be grace.
All right, let's not say the D word. Yeah, we can't say the D word. Say substances or something like that.
Yeah, I'm
Party
sorry,
favors.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he could save me, and it will be grace, but he also respect my free will, and lets me do it.
All right. Well, let's go back to the child example. So the child example, then, are you saying that the child exercised free will in drowning?
Maybe not him. Maybe somebody threw him in the pond or something like that. But God respects what happens in our world and what humans choose to do. Okay.
So then if somebody threw the toddler in the pond, do you think the toddler wants to drown?
No.
Okay. So I'm trying to understand then if this is about free will, when is God considering the free will of the toddler?
But in this situation, it wouldn't be the free will of the toddler. It would be the free will of the person who threw him in the pond.
Okay. And then what if the toddler just fell into the pond?
By
Accidentally?
accident?
Yeah, by accident. Whose
Well,
free will is that concerning?
I mean, that's not really free will, just an
It's
accident.
not free will.
Accidents do happen.
Okay.
It's
And
just
so
it happened.
okay, so in that sense, when an accident happens like that, would God
Hmm.
would because there's no free will involved then, so that means God would intervene and save the child, right?
Not always,
Not always. Okay. So why not if there's no free will involved?
because he doesn't have to. I'm not sure. I understand the question.
He doesn't have to? Well, you would
Yeah,
agree that God has the power to do it, right? Does it
yeah.
okay, does it come at any cost to God? Like at what cost does it come to God to save a child from drowning in a knee-deep pond?
I wouldn't say there's a cost.
No cost. Yeah. And so if we kind of use a parallel, tough.
Hmm.
Because I would say that maybe the cost to you would be your shoes would get wet, right? Maybe because it's only knee deep, or your pants would get up to your knees.
Yeah, we
That'd
could
be
say that.
probably be it, right? Or maybe your
Yeah.
arms, because you're pulling the kid out, and
Hmm.
so you get a little wet,
Yeah.
but there's really no cost to you, or maybe a little time. But it sounds like to
Yeah, I
God,
would agree.
there's very, very little cost in time, cost to God, right? So, just kind of a parallel. Would it be
Hmm.
if a doctor had the ability to prevent a patient from unaliving, like say
Hmm.
save their life, had the ability to do it, and they're at the hospital, so it's at no cost to them, and that's their
Hmm.
job. Would it be immoral or moral for them to stand by and watch them unalive?
I don't think a doctor can do that. I think he has
That's
to
correct.
help out.
That's correct. A doctor is required by ethics in order to
Yeah.
do that, or else they'll lose their license. Same thing for a hospital. If a hospital refuses to treat a patient that they have the ability to treat,
Hmm.
then they could effectively be shut down. So, what I'm trying to understand is if you are required morally to save this child from drowning, hospitals are required to save people from unaliving if they have the ability, as are doctors. I'm trying to
Hmm.
understand why God gets that exemption. How come if God has the
Mm,
ability to save people's lives that he doesn't have to?
I understand your question. I'm gonna give you an answer and let me know if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe when you're talking about this
See a JW. Go ahead.
with God,
Thank you,
I
Shade
would say
Zulu.
that being alive would represent being united with God, and not being alive would mean separation from God. So the same way Adam and Eve had the choice to eat or not to eat from the apple, and they chose to eat, and they had a consequence. When unfortunate situation happens on Earth, even though it's the end of that person's time on Earth, it's not really the end of that person's existence, because you either get united with God forever or you get disunited with God forever. But on Earth, in between us humans, when a doctor saves someone, it's not the same discussion as when you're thinking about if God does it or doesn't does it.
I'm not so sure that answers my question because it just sounds like it was like a long answer to, well, God gets to, just because. And I'm not sure why that flies, because
Because
if
it's not the same. It's not the same thing.
if God is because you said earlier that God is the moral standard, right? God
Yeah.
is the moral standard. Well, what I'm trying to understand is that God, in these scenarios, God's not meeting the moral standard. So how can God be the moral standard and at the same time not meet the moral standard?
He does meet it in the sense that even when somebody is no longer with us on Earth, it's not the end of that person.
Okay. And what method did you use to determine that to be true?
That life doesn't end when you die on
Mm-hmm.
Earth.
Take me through
I
the steps.
believe.
Like, what was your first observation in determining that life doesn't end
Well,
once we
it's just that
unalive?
I believe in heaven, like
Okay.
after. So
Okay.
it's
So you don't have any evidence that we keep living even after we die, right?
I
You just
mean,
believe it.
isn't my religion not an evidence of that? Like the
No.
saints in heaven?
If it were, then we'd all be Christians, right?
That's not true.
That's not true. Okay. So what I'm hearing then is
Mm-hmm.
because we have other because you just said it's a belief, right?
That we go to heaven
Mm-hmm.
or not?
Then
Yeah, yeah,
we
it
go to
is.
heaven or no.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
so then how can your religion be evidence of that if it's just a belief?
Because that's what my religion teaches.
Yeah, that's what they teach, but you would agree that other religions teach other things, right?
Yeah.
So just by teaching something doesn't make it true, right?
So what kind of evidence should I provide for heaven?
Well, maybe something verifiable, something that can, because is there something like is there a test we could run to see if it's right or wrong? Because that's what
Um,
tests do, right? We
yeah,
we
yeah,
we
yeah,
administer
yeah.
tests to see if something is true, right?
Or
Like if it's
special
yeah,
Marian apparition evidence.
apparition evidence.
Yes, of Mother
Ooh, thanks for the
Mary.
cake. Okay. And again, how do we know that's true? Because we've had other religions that have had like visions,
Are you wait?
phenomena,
But Marian
miracles.
apparition is on another level. It was they asked atheists to come and see it for themselves. There were a lot of witnesses,
Hmm.
even people who did not
Yeah,
believe in Christianity,
yeah,
and they saw it for themselves
yeah.
too.
They've done that in India. So because you understand that in India there's a sect of Hindus that are atheist, right? And so what they do is they've gotten them to come over to the Hindu faith by showing miracles. So you
And
realize that, right?
who testified those miracles?
They demonstrated the miracles. They would have gurus perform miracles on people. There's a guru out there that walks on water, heals people, things like that.
He
And people
walks
say
on
that,
water.
yeah, he walks on water. You can watch it on YouTube. Dude walks on water. And so that's what I'm trying to understand. If we have that, so that makes Hinduism true, right?
No,
Okay. So if it doesn't make Hinduism true, how does it make your religion true?
I
Because
mean
it's the same thing.
it's just an evidence. It's not that. It's not what makes it true. It's just
Okay. It's
evidence
just
of.
evidence, right? But you
Yeah.
have evidence for yours and then they have evidence for theirs, but it's the same exact type of evidence.
Well,
But
I'm
we
not sure
can't
who testified
we
the
can't
guru really walked on water.
well, like I said, you can literally watch him on YouTube walking
I
on water.
mean, I hope you will understand why I won't trust a YouTube video.
Okay, well that's testimony, right? I mean, it's the same as like people seeing apparitions. As, people are
Not
testifying that they
not
saw it.
if the people singing it all share different belief.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the same thing over in Hinduism. There are people with different beliefs who've seen this guy walk on water. Muslims, Christians, non-believers, you name it, Buddhists, and
And
they've
they
all
saw the guru walk on water
yeah,
and they
like
believed it.
200,000 people are sitting there watching this girl walk on water. It's like I said, it's on YouTube. You can watch it. You can go see it.
Can you
So
tell me
what
the
I'm
name of the channel?
well, dude, I'm not a Hindu, so I'll leave you to go research that. I
But
don't
I
I
don't,
don't believe
what
it
should
just
I
like
even
you. What
type
I'm
in YouTube? What
what
should I type?
I, Hindu guru walks on water. Yeah,
Hindu guy walks on
Hindu
water?
guru walks on water. Yeah. And there's like Hindu gurus that like leave their arm in the air for like 50 years. There's Hindu gurus that don't eat. They say they never eat because they're so in touch with the singular consciousness that they never have to eat anymore. So there's all kinds of stuff like that. But that's what I'm saying to you, Tough. That means that Hinduism is true, right? Because there's all these miracles being performed in Hinduism.
I'm not even sure who confirmed those miracles though.
Well, like I said, you can just research it all over the internet. It's all over there.
I mean, I typed Hindu guy walks on water and I saw
Yeah.
AI. I didn't saw the same thing
Well,
you saw.
well, that's the thing though, is that if billions of people believe this, right? Because there's
Yeah.
like at least a billion Hindus out there. And
Mm-hmm.
and so if this isn't true, then why do a billion people believe this?
Well, a lot of people believe a lot of stuff that is not
I
true.
agree. I totally agree. So then how do we verify that these things are true?
Well,
That's the
you can
key.
use the same standard of the Catholic Church.
You can't use the same standard? or you can?
No, you can use the same
Sure.
standard that the
Okay.
Catholic Church
And so if
uses.
they are using the same standard, then how do
I
we,
don't think they are
you don't
though.
think so? How do you know that?
Well, I've never heard of such a thing of a Hindu guy walking on water, and there's people from different beliefs
Okay. But just because you've never
testifying
heard
that
of
he
it
did.
doesn't, yeah, but just because you've never heard of it doesn't mean it's not true, right?
I agree with you, but
Mm-hmm.
when what I'm asking you is to this anecdote that you told me about the Hindu guy.
That close.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you like show it to me, but you can't even like give me the YouTube video so I can watch it for myself.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is something for, like, I'm not here to like promote Hinduism. You see what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
not
I
here to do
understand
that.
your
Yeah.
point.
I'm just saying that there are other religions that have had these, and we have Wiccans who believe in fairies, right? They swear that fairies exist. They have like a book on fairies. There's
Mm-hmm.
like a sect of Wiccans that have a book on fairies. So that makes fairies
Yeah.
true, right? Because they claim to have seen fairies, they claim to talk to fairies, they claim to pray to fairies, they cast spells to attract fairies or repel fairy, all kinds of stuff. So then we are to conclude that fairies are real, right?
I wouldn't say that is similar to my statement.
Well, see, that's kind of the thing though, is that because if all these people are making claims and you're saying, well, it's not the same, it's not the same for them, but it's true for me. How can you say that if you have the same exact standards that they have in
I
terms
mean,
of
look,
these
you can
beliefs?
look at the tilma. You can travel and go look at the tilma for yourself
Mm-hmm.
of Our Lady.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that you can actually go yourself and see it. But
Sure.
for the other things you gave me as an example, it's a YouTube video, and I can't even find it right now.
Could you go to India and find this yourself?
And find the guru walking on
Yeah.
water?
Yeah.
I highly doubt it.
You highly doubt it? What if you could?
What village would that be?
I
Like,
don't know.
where in India?
I don't know. But if there was somebody who could give you that information, would you go travel and see the guru?
I would be interested in for sure.
Yeah, you would go see him.
I can't say that I would
Okay.
go to India, but let's say if it was like not that far from where I live,
Mm-hmm.
of course I would go check it out for
If it's not that
myself.
far. Okay, that's fair.
I mean, yeah, let's be fair. Well, I'm not gonna fly to India just for a guru.
Okay, but like if he was like, I don't know, 2 blocks away, you'd definitely go
Yeah,
see
I
it,
would
right?
go check it out, of course.
I kind of don't blame you there. I would probably do the same. If the guru was like 2 blocks away within walking distance, and they were saying,
Yeah.
hey, there's this guru walking around. Yeah, I'd probably go walk over and see it too. I agree with you there, but I'm probably not going to fly to India either.
Exactly. Like I
Well,
didn't see the tilma for myself, but I
yeah.
still believe it's true.
Okay. Well, see, that's the thing is how, if you haven't seen it for yourself, and how do you know it's true?
The tilma?
Yeah. If
I
you
mean,
haven't,
the
if you
tilma
haven't seen
is
it for
just true.
yourself.
I mean, I don't think that's even a debate.
Well, there's a lot of people who don't believe it though.
I mean, it's like the Chapel 16. I never went there, but I know it exists. There's a lot of
the Sistine
people who went.
Chapel, yeah, that's kind of different though. That's a building
But
that
the
people
tilma
made,
is like a physical object that people have looked at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
I mean, I could agree that someone won't believe it's a miracle and everything, but it's still something that people can just go and check out for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And so, but that's the other thing is that, because other people can do the same thing. That'll say the same thing about, oh, I just pulled it up.
The Hindu?
Yeah.
What
Trilanga Swami, Devra Baba, and Sai Baba perform miraculous feats, including walking on water, often attributed to advanced yogic powers or divine manifestations. Yeah. I just walked it up. The walking Shiva.
The walking Shiva. How do you type Shiva?
SHIVA.
VA. Okay.
Yeah. How to walk on water. Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Dude, I just looked this up. I found it in like 5 seconds.
On YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah. Just look up Hindu Guru Walks on Water YouTube. Just search that and you'll find there's all kinds of videos. There's a dude telling you how to walk, there's a dude telling you yeah, but apparently many yogas have done this. Many yogis. That's what they call them, yogis. There's many that have, and there's a dude who turns water into some. This yogi turned into water, dude.
On YouTube?
Yes.
Man,
It's right
that's
there.
hard to believe. YouTube is hard to believe.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta pause here, Tough. I gotta do the kick poll, but it's been a fun conversation.
It was super cool, bro.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. All right, let me do the pick. But hey, maybe you'll stay another 20. Let's see. All right, let's do the kick poll, everybody. It's been a pretty pleasant conversation with Tough and Unique, but let's start it up. Okay, so you guys know what to do. Happy face to keep Tough and Unique another 20, or crying face and move on to the next guest. There is somebody waiting in the queue. So, but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like at the end of me.
Well, it's actually pretty close. I will tell you, if you stick around, I'll show you the Kickpole Hall of Fame and you won't feel bad at all. Actually, I can probably show you now. Because there's some pretty bad ones in there. Let's see if I can bring that up. Let's see. Oh, I don't have Discord up. Hang on. I got to start Discord. Oh, it's right there. There it is. Okay. Beautiful. Here, I'll show you this before you go, and you won't feel bad at all. I got to make sure it's up. Discord. There it is. There it is. You see that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
okay, I didn't do that bad then.
No, wow. You didn't do bad at all. You're only 23 to 10. That's not bad at all. Compared to what and see, that's the thing. When my guests are nice and they're, respectful and they just want to have a conversation, they're not being rude or anything like that. Yeah. It's just simply they just want to talk to they want me to talk to somebody else. But in this case, yeah, you're a nice guest, so they appreciate that.
Well, have a good rest of your life.
Enjoy the rest of your day, Tough. Yeah, thank you.